Well, welcome to the Boulder Data Hub election data site for the 2021 election. In this video, I'm going to talk about how to use the council election results from 2019 to get an understanding of the electoral landscape in Boulder. I'm going to start by looking at just the documentation for this here. Now, this page has embedded documentation in an interactive web page that displays the election results. And it hopefully helps you understand better how to use this page. But instead, I'm going to go to the main page that does not have the embedded documentation. All right, so the data here is comprised of each precinct within the city of Boulder that voted in the 2019 council election. For every precinct, there's the precinct name or identifier, the total number of registered voters within that precinct, the ballots that were cast in 2019, the turnout, and then the results for each candidate. These two maps then show each precinct, and they're linked, so you can zoom in. And they serve to, again, be able to compare two different results. Each precinct is colored by a particular field. On the left, it's colored by turnout, and on the right, it's colored by total ballots. The color range here for turnout ranges from 0.2 to 0.75. So areas that are redder have a higher turnout, areas that are bluer had a lower turnout. So for example, these areas in northwest Boulder had relatively high turnouts. I can click on one of these precincts and see the detailed information for that particular precinct. So this precinct has 832 registered voters. There were 576 ballots cast with close to 70% turnout, so pretty high turnout. Looking at, for example, the Holiday neighborhood precinct up in North Boulder, while it has relatively low turnout, it also has lots of voters in that particular precinct because it's a fairly densely populated neighborhood. So that's a caveat when understanding this data. It's not just about turnout, it's also about the total number of ballots. So for example, if we look on the right where it's colored by total ballots, we can see then that Holiday neighborhood precinct had a lot of ballots cast. The other one would be this area here, out in East Boulder. One can change then what field is being used to display color by. So if we wanted to compare, registered voters versus total ballots cast, we can do that. These set of widgets then allow one to filter what is shown. And so, for example, if we only wanted to look at precincts that had relatively high turnout, we can change the slider, and these are percentages, so it ranges from 0 up to 1. And so we're going to only show precincts that had, say, about 50% turnout in that precinct. As we see in the map then, we're only showing precincts that have that high a turnout. We can also filter on, I'll reset that, we can also filter on a particular candidate. By default, I just put Bob Yates up here. So I can see where Bob Yates did pretty well. Or also I can see where Bob Yates, I can change the max value where Bob Yates didn't do so well. If we wanted to add other fields to filter on, we just click the select fields to filter on. And now, for example, we can add in, say, Junie Joseph, who also ran in that election. So then we can likewise filter and see where Junie Joseph did well, and maybe where Junie Joseph did not do so well. So as we can see then, Junie's strengths were in those core CU campus precincts on the Hill and then east of campus. Likewise, we could color the ballots. So I will color by Junie Joseph there and color by Bob Yates here. We'll zoom out a little bit. So again, where it's red here is where Junie did fairly well around the campus. And then here, of course, Bob didn't do as well in those same campus areas. Of course, mind you, the turnout and the total number of ballots are pretty low. I mean, here the turnout in that precinct is a 14% turnout. So I'm just going to go reset those. And I'm going to go do another filter and just to filter on for high turnout areas. If we scroll down in the page, then we have a table that lists each precinct. One can sort the table based on the column header, so we can see, for example, what precinct had the highest turnout. If we click on that row, we should see, if we go back to the map, the precinct that row corresponds to should be highlighted with that little circle. And so, for example, we can see where Aaron Brockett did well and where Aaron Brockett didn't do so well. Now, so for example, now you've identified the set of precincts that you're interested in, maybe high turnout or high number of ballots precincts, or precincts that did particularly well for a particular candidate or not so well for a candidate. And now you want to go actually get that list of precincts and maybe go do something with it. So what one can do is clicking on this little down arrow, this load data icon, or download data icon. This allows us to download the data that's currently being displayed, so the data that's actually being filtered. And we see there are about 60 records or 60 precincts. We could download all the results, and you basically get a CSV file or as an Excel spreadsheet. But I'm only really interested in precinct name, active voters, total ballots, and turnout. I can then just press CSV, and the server will generate the Excel spreadsheet or CSV file, and I can save that off and do things with it. As a shortcut, likewise, I'll go turn those off. I can just say select precinct name and copy. In this case, it's copy to my clipboard, and I can go paste that into, for example, the voter database, which we'll talk about in another video. So to recap, you have a number of ways of displaying the results at the per precinct level. You can color them in different ways. You can have an integrated view between this tabular display and the maps. You can also then filter on particular fields to hide or show precincts that meet this criteria. And then you can change and add different filters here, so I can see where Karina did well and where Gaia did well. Well, that's it. We hope this is useful.